Okay, time for a new video. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. This is another non-Eurovision Song Contest related video here on my channel. Instead, I am once again going to be talking about the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which is currently ongoing in Canada, the USA and Mexico. The group stage is over and done with, and some of the knockout round games have already taken place. A couple of weeks ago, I did make a video regarding this tournament, going through the group stage, telling you my thoughts on what might happen moving forwards, focusing on each team, focusing on a few specific players, things like that. You may well have seen that video, and I thought that I would sit down today and just do a follow-up. Hopefully this won't be too long, but what I'm going to do is go through each team again, beginning with those that were eliminated after the group stage, and then moving into the knockout stage, talking about the games we've had, any particular highlights that spring to mind for me, and then I'll be talking about what I think might happen during the rest of this tournament as we move ever closer to the big final in about 2 weeks' time. So do bear with me, because I will be scrolling backwards and forwards here. I am going to try to be as brief as possible. As always, you are welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment down below. And as always, there are links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. If you see me turning my head several times, that is because there is a match currently happening, which I am sort of half paying attention to. So, with that being said, let's go through those teams that were eliminated after the group stage concluded. And I'm taking a look at Group A first, of course, and we said goodbye to Czechia, the Czech Republic, and South Korea. This was a fairly open group. Anything could have happened here, absolutely. It wasn't as clear-cut, perhaps, as some of the other groups at this World Cup. Mexico went through, obviously, one of the host nations. They looked very good. I'll talk more about them later. And South Africa went through in second place. In terms of Czechia, the Czech Republic, they scored 2 goals, conceded 6. I don't really remember seeing a great deal of their matches. I think most of the Group A matches were on in the middle of the night here in the UK, so I didn't really see any matches much in full. It was just highlights and what have you. But yeah, quite disappointing for Czechia. They came through the playoffs, I believe, in Europe. I can't quite recall. But yeah, a fairly disappointing tournament for them. And then as for South Korea, well, I think I predicted them to go through in second place behind Mexico. They did not progress as one of the strongest third-placed nations. So I think they'll think this is a very disappointing tournament indeed. They beat the Czech Republic. That's perhaps not too much of a surprise. They lost to Mexico. Again, maybe not too much of a surprise. But then they lost to South Africa, which maybe was a little bit of an upset there. Yeah, unfortunately, they did not progress. They've got some fine players. Son Heung-min, I don't think we'll be seeing him at another international tournament. So I think next time around at the next World Cup, there's going to be a lot of fresh talent, a lot of newcomers to the international stage, shall we say, and it'll be interesting to see, because I think maybe now there's going to be a period, and it's not just with South Korea, there's going to be this period with a lot of nations as well, a sort of rejuvenation period where some of the big guns of old are coming to the end of their careers and some fresh blood is coming through. Anyway, that's the situation with Group A. Group B, 3 nations went through, but we did say goodbye to Qatar, who finished bottom of the group, not winning a match. They only scored twice and conceded 10 goals in 3 games. I believe Qatar are the back-to-back Asian champions. What that says about the quality of Asian football, I don't know, because what I saw from Qatar was very poor. They weren't great when they hosted the World Cup last time out. They weren't great this time around either. Okay, they nicked a draw against Switzerland in their opening match. It was an own goal in added time at the end of the game. But then they were battered by Canada. Canada were good. Qatar were awful. What I remember about that match, which was on June the 18th, Qatar, I think they played quite dirty, from what I remember. I think they lost their heads very quickly. In the first half, they looked really, really poor. They never recovered. Canada were all over them. And they looked really, really shaky. And then they lost 3-1 to Bosnia. They've got a lot of experienced players. It's a very close-knit group. But on the world stage, they're not good enough. And because so many nations now take part in the World Cup, and who knows, we could have even more nations take part in the World Cup before too long. We're going to see Qatar regularly on the world stage, but the quality just isn't there. Moving into Group C, Scotland were eliminated. Their poor World Cup record continues. They've never made it out of the group stage, I believe. And Haiti were also eliminated. Haiti didn't play too badly, what I saw from them, but it was always going to be a mighty challenge. They did score twice against Morocco, albeit one of them was an own goal by the Moroccan goalkeeper. But yeah, finishing bottom of the group with no points is no real surprise. As for Scotland, you know, they're not a bad team. They've got some top talent. Robertson, McTominay, Shankland, you know, McGinn. They've got some very fine players indeed. And they've got a lot of support, and they are pretty good to watch. However, I think sometimes, for want of a better phrase, I'm just not sure they've got the bottle for it. They beat Haiti 1-0. Okay, fair enough. Then they lost to Morocco 1-0. That was an early goal. Scotland had 85 plus minutes to try and get back into the game. It didn't happen. And then they were absolutely smashed by Brazil, who were all over Scotland for good portions of that game. So you could say, oh, it was a bit of a difficult group. Morocco was semi-finalists. Senegal have just scored against Belgium. I have a feeling Senegal are going to win that. What was I saying? Yeah, Scotland. Yes, you could say tough group. Morocco semi-finalists at the last World Cup. Brazil, always very difficult to play against. But I just think Scotland were, I don't know, they just didn't have enough about them to really get over the line. Very unlucky not to make the knockout stage. But anyway, we move on. And the only person who scored for Scotland was McGinn. How about that? Group D. This was a very interesting group. Very wide open. Turkey were eliminated. And I had them down as a dark horse. They were not very good, it has to be said. I just feel like at international tournaments, you're not quite sure which Turkey is going to turn up. They're either going to be very good or they're going to be a big disappointment. And this time around, they were disappointing. They lost to Australia, which I thought was quite surprising. Then they lost to Paraguay, which was really disappointing. And then they nabbed a win against the USA. But by that point, it was too little too late. And I just think Turkey maybe should have started the tournament in stronger fashion. You know, it's as simple as that. We move on to Group E. Curacao were eliminated. They were absolutely whooped by Germany, which was no surprise. A nice 0-0 draw with Ecuador, and then a 2-0 loss to the Ivory Coast. Okay, you know, maybe they got better as the tournament went on. They had a lot of fight, but it was always going to be a massive challenge for them to get out of this group. Moving on, Group F. Tunisia were abysmal. They were eliminated early doors, 0 points, minus 10 goal difference. Sacked their manager after the first game. The guy who sort of stepped up didn't really do any better. They were whooped by Sweden. They were stuffed by Japan, and they weren't much better against the Netherlands. So I think Tunisia have to go down as maybe the worst performing nation at this tournament. But again, bottom in this group, maybe not really much of a surprise. Then we have Group G. Iran were eliminated. Got a draw against New Zealand, a draw against Belgium. I think I watched that game and it was absolutely diabolical. And then they drew with Egypt. So 3 draws. Okay, not bad, but it wasn't enough to progress. And then New Zealand, I think they can look at this tournament and say, you know what, we didn't win a game, but we didn't play too badly. Drew 2 each against Iran. The guy who got New Zealand's goals, Elijah Just, plays in Scotland for Motherwell, not a bad player at all. Then they lost to Egypt, and I think that was quite damaging, and then it was always going to be a big challenge against Belgium, and Belgium said, yes, we're going to absolutely thrash you, and they did so 5-1. But I don't think New Zealand had that bad of a tournament, really. I think they are slowly but surely improving. But yeah, this was always going to be a challenge for them to progress. Moving on to Group H. Get off my screen. There's a little bug on my screen. Anyway, Group H. Uruguay, one of the big underperforming nations at this tournament. They were really, really disappointing. Drew with Saudi Arabia. They drew with Cape Verde. I remember watching most of that match. And they were really going for it in the last, 30 minutes or so. Really trying to get the winner. I think they found it very difficult to break teams down. Teams that they really should have been beating. And then they lost 1-0 to Spain. It was always going to be difficult getting a result against them. Uruguay did not go through as one of the best third-place nations. A big disappointment. And then Saudi Arabia, sometimes they play all right, sometimes they're just not at the races. This tournament, they weren't that brilliant. They were stuffed by Spain, couldn't beat Cape Verde, and they're out in the group stage. Not much else to say there. Group I went absolutely as expected. Iraq finished bottom, 1 goal, minus 11 goal difference, 0 points. They actually played quite well against Norway. They were very unlucky in that match with Norway because, if I remember correctly, they had a good opportunity to make it 2-2, I think it was, or something like that. And the opportunity went begging. And then Norway just turned it up. So, yeah, they were very unlucky. Against France, always difficult. And then against Senegal, they were stuffed. So, Iraq, unfortunately, eliminated early. In Group J, Jordan were eliminated. 0 points. No surprises here. Don't really remember anything about their matches at all. Couldn't tell you a single thing, I'm afraid. But they scored in every match they played, which isn't too bad. In Group K, Uzbekistan, 0 points, no real surprise here. Did get a goal against Colombia, stuffed by Portugal. They were really poor against Portugal. And then they lost 3-1 to DR Congo. And then in Group L, Panama, don't think they played badly, didn't score a goal, but I don't think that's reflective of their performances at all. They only lost 1-0 to Ghana, they only lost 1-0 to Croatia, they lost 2-0 to England, but Panama, they went for it against England, and fair play to them. I think they were very unlucky to not get at least 1 point on the board. So, moving into the knockout stage now, and I'll just go through the groups again and then focus on the exact way that the knockout stage is panning out, shall we say. So, Mexico, they haven't conceded a goal at this tournament yet, I believe. Didn't concede in the group stage. Obviously, they've got that huge home support. They're looking pretty strong, it has to be said. They play England next in Mexico City. That is going to be a mightily tough game for England. I'll talk more about them later. But Mexico, they're delivering the goods so far. And they very, very rarely lose in Mexico City. As for South Africa, getting through the group was a massive success. That win against South Korea on June the 24th was very impressive. They are out of the tournament now, but they've given a good account of themselves. Great fans, great atmosphere, not a bad tournament. Switzerland, they've looked pretty good. They're always a bit of a dark horse, no matter what tournament it is, the World Cup, the Euros. In the group stage, they looked pretty good against Bosnia. Really turned it up in that match. Granit Xhaka still doing the business. And then they beat Canada, and they looked very good against Canada at times as well. And that leads me on to Canada, who have also been generally impressive. Jonathan David, I think, is one of the most underrated strikers on the entire planet. Him and Kyle Larin. Honestly, I'm surprised more attention doesn't go their way, because Canada have a pretty good strike force, it has to be said. They thrashed Qatar, drew with Bosnia, lost to Switzerland, but they've played some good stuff. They really have. By far the best Canadian international team there's ever been. And then Bosnia went through in third place. Šeko did not score in the group stage, but he's still pulling the strings up front. I don't really have much to say about Bosnia. I was with my friend when they played Canada on June the 12th. That was a fairly boring match, unfortunately. But Bosnia, they're through, and they now play the USA in the next round. As for Group C, Brazil, looking pretty tidy but not massively convincing. Vinicius is having a great tournament, scored in every game so far. Did he score in the knockout stage? Brazil have already played their match. No, he didn't score against Japan. But Vinicius is having a great tournament nevertheless. This is not an absolutely classic Brazilian team, but it's damn good. And, maybe they've got a few more gears to go through. As for Morocco, well, we can't really say that they're dark horses because look what they did at the last World Cup. But Saibari scored in every group stage match, looking really good. And obviously they beat the Netherlands very recently, which was a highly impressive result. And scored the winning penalty, Saibari, so he's one of the players of the tournament, arguably. Morocco, they're doing a good job. Who knows how far they can go this time around. As for the USA, looking pretty good, it has to be said. I'm not sure any one player is truly standing out here, but they got the job done. They won the group that they were in, and they will be looking to really get far in this tournament. Australia, very successful tournament thus far. I think they've played some decent stuff. Difficult team to come up against. They did lose. No, they didn't lose. Yes, they lost to the USA. My apologies. But they've not looked half bad, Australia. And then Paraguay, well, they are just quietly going about their business, aren't they? Didn't look that incredible in the group stage, in my opinion, what I saw of their games. And then they turn up against Germany. So Paraguay should not be underrated moving forwards. As for Germany, well, they were excellent against Curacao. They weren't bad against the Ivory Coast. They looked very poor against Ecuador. Dennis Undav looked very good in this tournament, one of their best players, if not their absolute best player at this World Cup. But then they came up against Paraguay, and they were just really sloppy. Really slow. I thought they were slow. Really, really disappointing. And they were eliminated on penalties. And Germany do not really lose on penalties, do they? So maybe things are changing in that department. And then the Ivory Coast. I don't have much to say about them either. We know they're not a bad team. We know they've got some top quality players. But they are out. They were very unlucky against Norway. My word. That game should have gone to extra time, maybe penalties. They looked decent. They were really giving Norway a great game. But then Haaland, it smacked him on the leg and went in. What a fluky damn goal that was. I think the Ivory Coast, very, very unlucky not to get something and progress. And then Ecuador, not a bad team. Haven't seen too much of them at this World Cup, I've got to be honest with you. And they're out. They lost to Mexico. So I wish I could sit here and say more about Ecuador, but I can't because I don't really remember seeing much of their games at all. Coming up against Mexico, one of the host nations, always a difficult game. And then we have a look at the Netherlands. Oh, man. I really like Dutch teams. I always have. Great players of old. Van der Sar, Seedorf, Davids, Schneider, Van der Vaart, Van der Meijden, Van Nistelrooy. So many others that I can't quite remember at the moment. And they looked great in the group stage. Maybe not brilliant against Japan, but then they really turned the screw against Sweden. They looked good against Tunisia. And then what the hell happened? They came up against Morocco, and I didn't see that game live because it was on very late, if I remember correctly, the other day. And, they're gone. Big disappointment. Big disappointment. I thought the Netherlands would probably have a good run at this World Cup, but not to be. And then we move on to Japan. Japan, for many, many years now, a lot of people, football critics, fans, you name it, they've been saying, watch out for Japan, this could be their year, they look half decent, etc., etc. Well, they were okay in the group stage, they've got a real fighting spirit, great set of players. However, they came up against Brazil, and unfortunately it was a step too far. So it is what it is. But I do like their team. And at some point, maybe everything is going to come together very nicely indeed. Then we move on to Belgium, who are currently playing. Won their group, but they're losing to Senegal as I speak to you now. Only won one match out of the 3 in the group stage. They're still reliant on Lukaku up front, but they've got good players in pretty much every position. Their golden generation is sort of over. And I spoke earlier about South Korea, this period of rejuvenation, of rebirth, shall we say, a fresh start. I think we're going to see that with Belgium, especially if they lose this match to Senegal. I really think we are going to see a lot of brand new players really coming through, and players like Lukaku and De Bruyne. It'll be farewell. After Belgium, Egypt. Well, they've got Mo Salah. I think he scored once in the group stage. Yes, he did. They're not a bad team. Egypt are going to play Australia on July the 3rd. That's in 2 days' time. That's going to be a very interesting match. I have a feeling Australia are going to win that. They're just flying under the radar a bit. They really are. Anyway, Egypt. Can't say too much about them. Don't recall seeing much of their games, I've got to be honest with you. But we know they're not bad, and anything can happen on the pitch when Mo Salah is firing on all cylinders. Then we move into Group I. Wow, a bit of a group of death. This France look so good, so good. Fluid, fast, attacking play. Their strike force is immense. Their defence is not half bad. Dembele, Olise, Doué, Barcola, Mbappe, who is scoring goals for fun. They have such a good team, and I applaud them. They've looked really good every step of the way. They thrashed Norway, and I know Norway rested pretty much their entire starting 11. But France said, we're not resting our starting 11. We're going to go out there and make a statement, and that's exactly what they did. They also played Sweden yesterday in the knockout round, looked excellent. Sweden were all over the place. And now they play Paraguay, and I'm sure they're very happy about that because it could have been Germany, of course. But France, they've got to be licking their lips here and thinking we're going to win the tournament. They're going to be very, very difficult to beat. It's as simple as that. But if they take their foot off the gas, who knows what might happen. As for Norway, well, if ever there was an international team reliant on one player, Haaland has a phenomenal goal-scoring record. I think sometimes he's very lucky. I mean, that goal against the Ivory Coast, it smacked him on the damn shin pretty much and went in. But every game he plays, he scores. They are okay. They're not 100% reliant on him. But you take Haaland out of this team and Norway are not the force that they currently are. It's as simple as that. They were okay against Iraq, but not sensational. They were okay against Senegal, but not sensational. They were shite against France. And now they're through and playing Brazil. And you know something? I really can see Norway beating Brazil. I really can. I think Norway could win the World Cup. Haaland could single-handedly drag them to the final and then win it for them big. I really can see that happening. Maybe I should place a bet. I really could. Any goal-scoring record Cristiano Ronaldo has is going to be totally eclipsed by Haaland before Haaland's even 30, the way he's going. So anyway, that's Norway. They're a good team, but I've not been totally convinced by them yet. Great fans. I will say that much. And then Senegal, well, they're winning now. We know that they're a real force in African football. Didn't beat France, didn't beat Norway, thrashed Iraq. Belgium, you know who they're playing right now, 40 minutes, 35 seconds gone. Belgium aren't the force that they once were. I've already said this. So Senegal could go through, and if they do, they will play the USA or Bosnia. So there's a real opportunity for Senegal here to maybe make at least the quarterfinals. They're not a bad team. Mane could be his last international tournament. Anyway, we move on. Argentina. Well, talk about a team that is very reliant on one player. Jesus wept. You take Messi out of this team, and I think Argentina could absolutely crumble like stale damn bread because Messi is absolutely pulling the strings. He's such a great player. I've always admired him, his trickery, his soft, deft touches. He's a fantastic player. But my God, Argentina are reliant on him. He scored a hat-trick against Algeria, scored twice against Austria, scored against Jordan. And Argentina play Cape Verde in the knockout round. I think they're going to win that. You've got to be looking at Argentina maybe making back-to-back finals. This is surely Messi's last swan song. Fantastic stuff. He is a great player. But I don't know. I mean, when he's gone, who steps up? I don't really know. And then Austria. Yeah, they're not bad. What else can I say about them? They beat Jordan, as expected, lost to Argentina, as expected, drew with Algeria, only saw the highlights of that game. What an extraordinary finish. And Austria now play, who is it, Spain, I think? Yeah, tough game. That might be where it ends for Austria, but they're not a bad team. Arnautovic is still playing for them, and that guy must be about 60 by now. So yeah, another team maybe that will be rejuvenated after this tournament. Alaba's still there. So yeah, not bad, but not sensational. And then Algeria, Mahrez is still playing for them, scored twice against Austria on June the 27th. They're an alright team, but I think most people are expecting them to lose to Switzerland tomorrow in Vancouver. Bear with me. Who's up next? Colombia. Yeah, bit of a dark horse, Colombia. I like their style. I think they've got some great players. Looked good in the group stage. Drew with Portugal as well. They've got Ghana. Ghana are a very difficult team to break down. Can see Ghana maybe winning that one. But Colombia, yeah, they're not half decent. They're not half decent. Is that what I mean to say? I'm losing the plot. They're a pretty decent team, is what I meant to say. So yeah, watch this space because Colombia could really go on a good run here. As for Portugal, man, Portugal are a very strange team because sometimes when they get into a groove, they're very difficult for anybody. They looked great against Uzbekistan, but Uzbekistan, with all due respect, were crap. They weren't great against DR Congo, and they weren't brilliant what I saw of the match with Colombia. Portugal now play Croatia. We know what Croatia are like at international tournaments. Portugal could lose that. Cristiano Ronaldo scored twice against Uzbekistan. The man has such an ego, it's unbelievable. And I don't know. I mean, seriously, as great a player as Ronaldo is, it is time for him to step down. I think so. I think it's time for him to step down because there are players waiting to start matches for Portugal and they can't because Ronaldo is there and he will throw a hissy fit if he doesn't play. And I just think there needs to be, I don't know, again, I use that word, rejuvenation, rebirth. Maybe there needs to be one with Portugal. They've got a good goalkeeper. They've got Rafael Leao. He's a great player. But yeah, they're a match for anybody. And they could, maybe, win the World Cup. Who knows? But based on their group stage form, I'm not too sure. Then we have DR Congo. Well, they gave a good account of themselves at this tournament. But they lost to England earlier today, and Jesus Christ, England lucky, because DR Congo really gave it a good go, and on a different day, it could have been a different story. But yeah, fair play. Good fans, good atmosphere, good performances. Well done to them. Then we move on to Group L. I'll leave England for now. Ghana. Defensively rock solid. That match with England, they were just defending everything. They were really, really impressive. They're not the most attractive team to watch, but they get the job done. They beat Panama, were unlucky to lose to Croatia. They've now got Colombia. It might be a step too far, but Ghana, not a bad team. As for Croatia, Modric is still there, even though the guy is about 100 years old now. They were really poor against England for much of that match, particularly in the second half. I think Croatia just weren't really at the races at all. And then they weren't brilliant what I saw in the match with Panama, and then they weren't that sensational against Ghana. So they need to up their game, but we know they can do it on the world stage because we've seen it before. That leaves England, and obviously I am from England. The media just wet themselves with excitement whenever England play at the World Cup. Bellingham, who I think has very poor temperament generally, he's had a good tournament, but really it's the Harry Kane show. We know what a great goal scorer he is, right place, right time. England are, I mean, I talk about Haaland, I talk about Messi. There probably isn't an international team in the world more reliant on a player than England with Harry Kane. You take Harry Kane away, I really don't think there's anybody in the England squad capable of getting us over the line, especially against top quality opponents. We were good against Croatia, we were shite against Ghana, and we weren't that brilliant against Panama. And then earlier today, against DR Congo, I just knew what was going to happen because I've seen it happen before. DR Congo went ahead, they sat back, and okay, they had a few more opportunities throughout the game, but both Harry Kane goals, the defending was poor, really poor, and you just can't leave a player like that unmarked because the headers are going to go straight in the back of the net, and that's what happened today. But yeah, you take Harry Kane out of this England team, you've got Ollie Watkins, he's been completely underused at this tournament, you've got Ivan Toney, who I don't think's played. I'm not a huge fan of some of the managerial decisions we've seen so far under Thomas Tuchel, who I think is a very good manager, but I've not been a fan of some of the decisions he's made. And also, I think defensively, England are shocking. A really, really good international team are going to have fun with that English defence because it's not very good. It just isn't very good. Jed Spence, with all due respect, what the hell is he doing in the squad? Esri Konsa, I don't rate him personally. Mark Gahey, best defender England's got, but I don't think he strikes fear into the opposition. John Stones, with all due respect, probably past it. And Reece James injured, Quansah not quite good enough. So yeah, the defence is shaky, really shaky. And England, apart from 45 minutes in the opening match with Croatia, haven't looked that sensational at all. Very, very reliant on Harry Kane. Anyway, that's about it, is it not? Looking at the knockout stage, Paraguay will now play France. This is in the round of 16. I think France are going to win. Paraguay could well have their asses handed to them, with all due respect. Canada are going to play Morocco. That's a really interesting match. Canada could win it, but they're playing in Houston. How about that? We know Morocco, yeah, they're a pretty decent team. Beat the Netherlands. So I'm going to say Morocco, which would mean a France-Morocco quarter-final. I think Portugal are just going to get the job done against Croatia, and then they'll play Spain, who I think will beat Austria, but it could go to extra time. And then I think Spain would beat Portugal. The USA, I think, will beat Bosnia. And that match apparently is today. When? At 11 p.m? I've no idea. Anyway, I think the US will beat Bosnia. And then I think, well, I'm going to say Senegal are going to beat Belgium. So I think it will be the USA against Senegal. And then I think Senegal are going to beat the USA in Seattle. And then I think it will be Spain-Senegal in Inglewood on July the 10th. And then I think the first semi-final will be France-Spain, which is what I think I predicted anyway. Then Brazil play Norway, and I can see Norway winning that match. I really, really can. Oh, God, Haaland's smug face with his ponytail. I really can see it happen. Oh, man. They've never lost to Brazil, I don't think. I don't know. Brazil, they're a good team, good manager. I'm going to say Brazil do it. Mexico-England, oh, man. I really think Mexico could beat England. They don't lose, really, in Mexico City at all. And they're going to have such a huge amount of support in that big stadium. I don't know. England are going to have to play really well. Really well. Really, really well. Because, my God, they can't play that shite again. I'm going to say England, just. And then it will be Brazil-England. And then I think Brazil will bend us over and give us what for. So then that will be Brazil in the semi-finals in Atlanta. Argentina, they're going to beat Cape Verde. Australia, I think, might narrowly do it against Egypt. Switzerland, I think, will beat Algeria. And then I think Colombia will narrowly beat Ghana. That means that it would be Argentina, Australia, goodbye Australia. Switzerland, Colombia, I think Colombia. Then it would be Argentina, Colombia, Argentina. And then it would be Brazil, Argentina. And I think Argentina would get over the line. So I think my prediction remains the same. France-Argentina in the final. And it could be another absolute thriller. We'll just have to wait and see. Or who knows, maybe it will be a Paraguay-Cape Verde final. Who the hell knows? Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I've been talking for far too long. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I may well film a video once the tournament is over, reviewing the entire thing, or I might film, a video right before the grand final. I don't know. And there will be more Eurovision related videos for those of you who are very much more interested in that, as and when. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and bye for now.